faced my death dying twice, and it's cracked me open to study since starting as a teenager. Why am I alive? What does it mean to be alive? I started organically praying. I just started to pray. Faith had meant nothing to me. And my prayer was just begging the universe, which ended up the word came through me of God, just could I please live to be 20 years old? We're not our thought. We're not our feelings. We're that essence, that stillness behind that. And when you really have a moment of experiencing it, it is life-changing and transformative. If you don't have to wait until you're in crisis, you can choose right now to live this vibrant, full life from your heart, your soul, the guidance with the universe.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into the Vibrant Soul Society, The Conversations. I'm your host, Baba Sam, the Miracle Man. Our mission here is to help you see and to discover that you are greater than your thoughts, and beyond your thoughts is your vibrant soul. So today we have a very special guest with us, Catherine. So Catherine, welcome to the Conversations.
Great to meet you, Baba Sam. Thank you for having me on.
I'm looking forward to our conversation. So Catherine, how would you describe yourself that people that are not familiar with you?
Well, where do I start? In my profession, I'm an integrative spiritual consultant, faced my death dying twice, and it's cracked me open to study since starting as a teenager. Why am I alive? What does it mean to be alive? Why are we here? That has led me to this day of now an author of the book Everyday Awakening and helping people in private practice and public speaking through my book about what does it mean to be alive and how can you live fully now. That has been my passion that started when I was 11 years old.
Wow, that's great. So let's dive in because it sounds like 11 years old, like life just really just suddenly changed for you, got you to question life and the purpose being here. So do you care to share some more about that and what happened to you?
Yeah, when I was actually 10, about to turn 11, and I was suddenly gravely ill. My parents took me to the hospital. I was diagnosed with a really rare childhood cancer, given a 20% chance to live. I started going through really intensive treatments. Back then, I had never even heard the word. I didn't know what that was. I thought I'd go to the hospital and have to take like a Tylenol, and wow, that wasn't the case. I was going through really intensive treatments, and this is actually back in the 70s. They had no program for children. No one talked to me. My family, I felt love, but they never said a word. I quickly felt that I was just on the edge between life and death. And out of nowhere, I started organically praying. I just started to pray. Faith had meant nothing to me. And my prayer was just begging the universe, which ended up the word came through me of God, just could I please live to be 20 years old? And I kept praying and praying, and I told no one. And then not long after, this feeling one afternoon of peace just flooded my body. It took over and it just took my breath away. And a knowing came into me that I was going to live. That I was going to live. And it gave me so much comfort. And I held on to that through all the treatment, getting through everything. This drug actually came in from Turkey that year that was randomly being given to patients. My father, consummate businessman, he's been gone now about 20 years. He demanded that they give me this drug. And that is now standard treatment for what I went through. Survival rate for what I went through now is 80%. That experience started me on this path of what does it mean to be alive? Why are we here? And has been in my heart and soul and landing into what does it mean to be alive? This has been my passion since a young person.
Yeah, that's really a profound, profound experience. And I really understand that sense of peace, this deep, deep peace that we get from the universe, because I had that experience of feeling that peace and knowing my health challenges were over at that point.
Mm.
So
Can you tell us more about that? It's fascinating. I don't hear that a lot.
yeah, because basically at age 42, I was really dealing with multiple sclerosis, not able to walk, bipolar, psoriasis, arthritis, migraines. I had a severe amount of health issues, but I never had any concept that I could heal myself. But I discovered meditation one day because the universe always gives you what you need. So I had a paranormal experience where I felt somebody sit next to me that wasn't there. But I was curious enough to say, oh, what is this? What am I experiencing? This is a ghost. Okay, who talks to ghosts? Mediums. And reading a book from a medium led me to meditation because I read meditation brings inner peace. So I had no concept of healing. I just wanted peace. Stressed, overwhelmed with life. So 3, 4 days after meditation, I discovered I had thoughts, but I wasn't my thoughts. This was a huge realization for me because in my 20s, I was suicidal because I took my thoughts as truth. But when I realized I wasn't my thoughts, well, if I'm not my thoughts, well, then who am I? Then I was sitting with that question for about 2 weeks, maybe three. And one evening after my meditation, which was only 5 minutes long, I had a very simple meditation practice, just 5 minutes, just being present. I just heard a voice say perfect spirit to the question, like, who am I? The voice said perfect spirit. I felt this great sense of peace come over me. I knew all is well and all my health challenges were over, and they were. So it
That's
was
a miracle. Wow.
So it's really that simple. We can surrender that mind. We can tap into a greater essence.
Completely. Yep. And that's what I did at 11 years old. I just surrendered, help me, help me. And the same theme of this came up in my 30s when I had a near death experience, whitewater rafting. I was on a Time Inc. corporate trip and we were in Costa Rica and it was really treacherous waters. And I had a feeling like I shouldn't be here. It was a small group of us. And same experience, thrown off through a really rough rapid, really, yeah, the rough waters. I was deep underwater with helmet vest. I'm like, this is it. I'm going to die. Had flashes of my kids, my young kids at the time, and seeing myself as a child in the hospital. And then all of a sudden, I saw this white light came around my body, and this voice said, living or dying is fine. And then again, this peace came through my body and I let go. I didn't know what was going to happen, but I just surrendered. I let go. And I think that's what helped me come out from underneath the steep rapid. They pulled me onto a boat. I survived. I was in shock. I couldn't talk, but it was the same experience of just letting go, surrendering.
Right. Because it's such a profound experience. We can just say, all right, I let go. And because that's what I just see when I'm dealing with individuals that are very chronically sick, that they're way too much in their mind. And that's really creating this sense of separation from the divinity within us. This mental interference of trying to figure things out or worry or anxiety. It's just mental noise and we need to let go of this. Are you seeing this too with the clients that you're working with, that they're just too much in their mind?
In my entire private practice for years, I was a chaplain. Be careful what you pray for. I was a chaplain, which was very sacred work at our level on trauma hospital. I was a hospice chaplain. I was with thousands of people at end of life and dying. And it just, oh, the lessons I learned, the people that touched my heart, my understanding of being alive opened up. And then had a nudging to open and be with people, more the living, not with people dying every day. But yeah, I'd say the number one theme is how so much suffering happens when we live head up, where we live in our mind, where our mind runs us, where we're living on autopilot and helping people have a a minute experience, if it's through breath or a body movement, for example, of how to come out of their mind into just here and now and the transformative power, because we know we're not our thought, we're not our feelings. We're that essence, that stillness behind that. And when you really have a moment of experiencing it, it is life changing and transformative.
Right. I love that expression. I don't think I heard that before. Living head up.
Mhm.
That's really good way to think of it because
Yeah.
disconnected, we're just totally in the mind trying to understand and figure out life. And we just need to surrender and trust life. Is that what
Yep.
you're finding? Just to trust life?
100%. Yeah, I see many people in my practice. I think a lot of people, it's so easy in American culture of being in your mind and the accolades of being bright and smart and doing well and achieving and all of that. And yes, of course, there's a place for all that. But We get stuck in our fast chattering ego mind. I mean, that's where the critique, the judgment, the fear, the worry, the what if, the how, we're not even here when we're in our mind. We're in the past, we're in the future, but coming into just the preciousness of this moment, I think that is how we start on the path to opening, coming into the moment, coming into our heart, coming into our soul. There's where the peace, the joy that people are seeking for, there it is.
Right. It's always within you.
Right. A lot of people, until I find people in my practice and also friends, colleagues, etc., that all of a sudden maybe they've done really well with their career, for example, but they feel a numbness. They feel like an emptiness. They feel a gnawing inside.
Mm.
Something's missing. I see a lot of people that come to me in my work that it's just like there's got to be more to life.
Yeah. So, what do you say to people that are looking for more to life?
One great question as I work with people starting to tune in how they're living each day is even just starting to notice. Can you stop and ask the question, where am I? Am I in my mind? Am I in my thinking mind? Or am I here now in this moment? Our body's in the present moment. Can I take a breath? Can I just be here now? Tuning in, just asking that question is a great starting place. And that was the impetus of writing my first book, Everyday Awakening, that launched a little over a year ago, is just checking in. Where are you? How are you living your life? You don't have to wait until you're in crisis or end of life to feel vibrantly alive right now. And I have 5 practices. And the first practice is come back to the present moment, starting with where are you? Can you be here now? And feel into that. Even just, a minute or two, starting to feel what that's like, where your mind isn't running you.
Right, because that was basically my practice for 5 minutes. Was when the mind was thinking, I'd be like, "Where are my feet?" Mind thinking, "Where are my feet?" And I was just coming back into this moment. I didn't even know that's what I was doing because I didn't have any teachers or anything. I just sat down for 5 minutes a day, and then 2 years later, after all my healing was done, then I went and read books and try to understand what I did.
And isn't that amazing? Just the practice for people listening right now. You feel your hands, like right now, feel your hands, your fingers, whatever's there. When you feel your hands, your fingers, your thinking mind stops. You can't do both at the same time. It just drops you down into your body.
Right, that's a great point that multitasking is a myth.
Well, I think we can multitask potentially when we're in our mind and we're like thinking this track, then this track, and doing that. I mean, I can't multitask actually.
Yeah,
I'm not wired for that. But just how can you come into the moment? Is it your breath? Is it your hands, your feet? Is it just using your senses? There's many avenues to take a break and come into the moment and just feel the preciousness of life. Every one of us has had this experience. Everyone, where for a moment, maybe you're by a lake and the sun's setting or the sun's rising or you hear birds in the springtime now hearing their singing and all of a sudden you just stop and there's like a wonderment like wow and time stops. This is what I'm talking about, where time
yeah,
stops and we're really here.
right. It's almost like a flow state where we're just
Mm-hmm.
connected to everything and just information is flowing out of us. And
Yep.
that's coming from this deeper essence where we're just flowing with this information as opposed to getting in the way. I saw some in your everyday waking, your 5 core practices. You're right. The first step is be present. Then the second one, I think it was connect with something greater.
Yep.
So talk about what that something greater is. What is that greater to you?
I am very inclusive, ecumenical. Yes, I'm an ordained minister. I'm a board certified chaplain. So I have all this education between my chaplaincy work, my private practice. I think language is limiting, and I really want to honor where everyone is at. So even everyone hearing your show right now, some people might resonate with the concept of God or Allah or Brahma or source, higher power, energy. I mean, just simply, we are energy. This is research based. We're energy. We have an energy field around us called an aura, feeling into what's that. And so I open the door for people when they come into the moment. It first starts by coming into the moment, feeling into here and now where our mind isn't running us, and then noticing what's there, feeling your breath, feeling the energy moving in your body, and be open to that. And that's how I start that chapter. And in my book, I have 42 exercises. How can you feel into what's present and that flow and love? And so I offer a variety of ways to come at these principles of the present moment and just being here now. And what is it for every one of us?
Right. I'm just looking at your practices, and the one that really jumps out at me is the practice of trust.
Mm.
Because we don't trust ourselves. We always are looking outside of ourselves for validation. Oh, is this right? Is this right? And we lose this trust in ourselves. So, what is this practice you're talking about, growing trust
Mhm.
within ourselves?
As I mentioned, I've been reading so many books since a teenager and so many self help spiritual books. They say trust, trust, trust. But I don't know. I'd be interested if you've read a book where it tells you how to trust. Most books don't tell you how to trust.
Hmm.
I really felt a nudging to try and just define what do I think trust is. And here's what I think it is. I think it's coming into the moment, accepting the moment, accepting all that is, the good, the bad, and just saying accepting the moment is a big ask. It's when life is messy and hard, it's hard to just be present and accepting. But when you can accept the moment, then I think we can listen. So it's accepting and listening, tuning in. What are you hearing? And that is how we trust. And when I say listening, when we're in the present moment, I believe every single one of us has gifts. We all have these gifts, but it's not when we're in our busy thinking mind, it's when we're in the moment. And I talk about it in my book when you can accept and then you listen in, you get a sense of like, oh, yeah, I am on the right path, or oh, I need to take this detour, or you just get a sense, a gut feeling, a knowing comes into you. And I really think that is how we trust.
Right. And I have the same thing, is that we want to trust that information that we're sensing and believing that, not trying to validate it or explain it. Because during my healing journey, I was hearing things where my mind said, oh, there's no way you could do that. But I just trusted that voice, that whatever comes through is what you need to do at that moment.
And it's not, I'll say, sometimes we hear things where we're like, really? That's what you want me to do or be? I remember when I left Time Warner, left the corporate world, I really deliberately like, I need to listen deeply. I need to really tune in. Where am I being called? And I all of a sudden out of nowhere got this nudging to start to study theology and then chaplaincy. And part of that was because my mother in law at 65 suddenly gravely ill and died of pancreatic cancer. My father in law asked me to walk with her. And it was really a magical journey. She was such a teacher on being present, a teacher on just letting go and that death isn't an end. And all of a sudden, the thought of chaplaincy came into me. And I had vowed as a child, I'll never walk in a hospital ever again. So when I was looking at some of the programs to become a chaplain, you go through what's called CPE, clinical pastoral education training. And I got into all the programs. And the one I kept getting this pushing to go to was the University of Minnesota, where I was a patient. And I thought, oh my gosh, why? But I did go there and I did do my training there. And I'll tell you, the first few months I had flashbacks and worry. And it was just, I would get my kids to bed and lay on the couch and cry. But at the end of the day, it was the clearing and healing I needed to become who I am today.
Right. Because the soul is always leading us to where we need to be, that we're never in the wrong spot. We're exactly where we need to be. And we just have to trust that. Sometimes we don't know why we're in a certain situation, but it's for our growth.
Exactly. Can you really listen and feel? Because the guidance, it's there.
Yeah, the wisdom is within
Mhm.
us. As Eckhart Tolle talks about, out of stillness, wisdom arises.
He's and Eckhart Tolle is, of course, brilliant and love his work and have read it for a very long time. He's a great starting place.
Yeah, his teaching is very simple. Power of now, be here.
And I just a shout out to another author that I think is even maybe a bit more digestible if you're just starting on the
Yeah.
path. And it's the book, my favorite book from last year, Don't Believe Everything You Think by Joseph Nguyen. And he's now a New York Times bestselling author. He's sold 1 million copies, and it's a short, easy read about just being in the moment. And it's fabulous.
That's such a profound thing. Don't believe everything you think.
Mhm.
But people are so identified with their thoughts that, and they wonder why they're suffering, pain, life isn't working out. It's because
Mhm.
you're getting in your way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really that simple. So what was one of your, now as you're moving through life now into helping people with this, you call yourself a spiritual consultant now, is that, or integration? What was that term you used to describe yourself?
Yeah. Integrative spiritual consultant. I could hang a shingle and say, I'm a minister, I'm a chaplain, but I feel like honestly, it feels a little too limiting for me. And I'm also a mystic, I'm an intuitive. So I work with people one on one, providing emotional, spiritual support. I do quite a bit of speaking, and I'm still in the thick of my book and book tour a year and a half in.
Yeah, that happens, but we just trusting the process of
Mhm.
guiding individuals to their greater essence so they can live their life. Because I
Yep.
think most of us just want to be happy and enjoy life.
Yeah. And it's so interesting. Writing my book, I saw the vision of it. I see a lot, I get a lot as an intuitive, and I saw my book 10 years prior, and I told my then teenage kids and husband, "I'm gonna write a book," and they thought, "Great, mom." And then when the pandemic hit, I had time at night, I just started writing, I couldn't stop, and it's so interesting when you really embody everything. Writing this book, honestly, was really the easy part, writing, but then afterwards, you're out there, social media and interviews and promoting it. And I honestly feel I've learned the principles, the 5 practices in my book on a whole deeper level since I published my book.
Yeah, I can understand that, the one principle you have is embodied love. And you can see
Mhm.
from social media that can be a little hard at times with some of the critics out there and the judgments and like, who are you? And the imposter syndrome comes up and all that stuff. So it's the embodied love. Is that what your experience is? The imposter syndrome and getting yourself out there?
Well, I'll share with embodying love. Here's what I think, and I write about this in my book, but I think we're here on this earth to learn to love. I witnessed that again and again and again with people at end of life. All that mattered. The number one theme was love, and people really dropping into that sense of love before they died and having this radiant presence of love around them was just
Mm.
unbelievable to walk and witness and companion people. And it starts with loving ourselves. And social media has been definitely more trying, more challenging. How do you do it? You feel vulnerable, and I've landed at it's not about me, Catherine. It's about what inspires me to help others. Well, how can I help others? And it's been such a growing edge of how do I do it and how can I help people and letting go of it's not about me.
Yeah, you mentioned something that's very difficult for a lot of people is loving ourselves. Why is it so difficult to love ourselves?
I work with a lot of people who, just our family of origin shapes so much of who we are, myself included. I grew up with a father who was verbally abusive, and it really takes strength and courage to do the work. If you didn't receive love as a child, if you were abused as a child, and most of us have gone through some kind of trauma, maybe even a small level of trauma, but it's about doing the work, healing, choosing to heal. And that's a decision, that's a consciousness. And I think all of that winds in with our ability to see ourselves, to love ourselves, to be compassionate to ourselves. And it's a learning and it's a practice. I mean, I grew up in a family really business-oriented family, 5 older siblings, everyone in business, my father, and I never heard the words, "I love you." I never heard that, and even just glimpses of feeling gaps and understanding love and how to love myself, and I started years ago, and it was so helpful doing, for example, Louise Hay mirror work, saying, I love you, I really love you," and feeling love growing my heart. I did a meditation in my 30s. I want to feel more love. And these things really are life changing. We're mind, body, spirit, and we can heal if we want. And again, easy to say, and it takes a real passion, dedication. Like, I want to heal more, I want to feel more, and I really want to love and love myself.
Yeah, that's the thing too. We need to be I remind people that we don't wanna obsess about healing and being healthier because that could become a mental interference because we have to realize all the instructions are already there within you. Just be open to receive them. So I just remind people, don't get so caught up in doing the work that you forget to listen to yourself.
I agree. So I want to ask you a question. With the miraculous healing you went through, do you feel like it, I mean, it obviously opened you up to have this podcast. Do you feel like it opened up more of your senses? I don't know if you would say you even get even more guidance, intuition, knowings that come through your life path now?
Yeah, so what I say is that none of us are gifted, that we all have these abilities because ultimately we are spirit. So as I go on this path, it's just what I practice. I do psychic readings, I do that mediumship. It's all there because we are all spirits. So all the information is there. So I just remind people we just need to relax, trust yourselves. Because for me, it was just being at peace, finding that inner peace was my way. And I tell people, don't try to heal yourself. That energy of trying is gonna keep you unwell. Just
Mm-hmm.
realize you are whole and complete just as you are.
And surrendering, it's that's so beautiful. Surrendering into your essence, your heart, your soul. I think we're a soul and a body for a short time. And I ask that because after the near death experience in my 30s, my world even cracked open more. I mean, every day I see spirits, I get a lot of guidance, and it's just these gifts within me. And again, as I said, I think every one of us, we all have gifts, but it's not when we're in our busy thinking mind.
Right. I usually prefer the term abilities over gifts because gifts have this sense that, oh, you're special, you were giving
Mm,
this gift. We
hmm
all have this ability are.
Nice.
So just my own phrasing that I
I
prefer
like
that
that.
because we all have these abilities if you're willing to just surrender the busyness of the mind.
I love that.
So it's just a matter of just relaxing, enjoying life. Because I think ultimately people are always asking, why am I here? What's my purpose? It's like,
Mhm,
well, it begins with knowing who you are.
mhm,
Without that, then it's just a mental guess.
mhm. Amen.
Is that what you find as well? People asking, like, why am I here?
I would agree. I think the first step is, how are you living your life every day? How, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep, where are you? What are you doing? And if your mind is running you, it's really hard to drop into and feel your soul and that oneness with the universe. So just little steps to taking a break from our mind and coming into the moment and just feeling what's life giving, how, what's arising in your life, how you're living your life. It starts there.
Yeah, I think that's really important 'cause when I was sick, I know my mindset when I woke up in the morning was like, what's going to go wrong today?
And I share with people, there's, again, I have a lot of practice in my book. I do this with clients, sharing tools, exercises, but even just, yeah, how you start your day. And I do this is how I start my day, and I've done this for years, is I wake up, alarm goes off, or I just wake up, and I have a few minutes of gratitude. And yes, I think about what I'm grateful for, but then I feel, here's a key point a lot of people miss. You got to feel the energy. Thankfulness, love, gratitude, highest vibrational energies we can hold in our bodies. And I feel that energy coursing through my body. I have a few minutes of prayer. I see the flow of my day. And I do this before I get out of bed. It sets the tone for my day versus people wake up. Maybe they grab their phone, yikes, or they think about, I have this and this and this and this. And so many people start their day in a stress response.
Yeah, I agree. Start my day
Me
acting,
too.
then starting the day.
Yeah, thank you. And I end my day at night and I go to bed. I'm like, thank you. Wow, how lucky am I?
Right, and we get to have this human experience because it's so short. As a
Mhm,
hospice chaplain, like, how
mhm.
short and fragile life is.
Mm, very short and very precious. And I found and witnessed so many people as they were about to die, days before, there was a knowing came through, like, this is it. This is why I'm here. This is life. And it was just a wonderment and magical moment. And then they died. And that was again, the impetus of my book, like, you don't have to wait until you're in crisis, upheaval, end of life. You can choose right now to live this vibrant, full life from your heart, your soul, the guidance with the universe. Here it is.
Right, because that's why I tell individuals you want to have a practice in place before the crisis hits. So if you're
Yep.
healthy right now, that's a perfect time to develop a practice, a meditation practice, so some kind of presence practice. Because we're in the midst of a health crisis, it's a little harder to step
Mhm.
out of that.
Yes and no. I also experienced as a chaplain, also my practice, and I've seen this personally, professionally. It just, when people all of a sudden are faced with the edge, the dying, the crisis, something traumatic, huge grief, that also cracks people open. That also, I think you can go either way. It cracks people open to, like, what does it mean to be here? Why am I here? The awakening happens, and then some people do shut down, but I think that is one pathway of how people really awaken when they have to go through some huge upheaval.
Right, the huge upheaval is a blessing in disguise.
Yep.
This has been a beautiful conversation. So, Catherine, if people had questions, how could they reach out to you?
Yeah, my website is Catherine with a C, catherineduncan.org. I'm all over social media, Catherine Duncan, MABCC. And my book, Everyday Awakening, is on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. It's everywhere. Yeah, love to hear from people. Mhm.
That is great. So, I really enjoyed having you on the conversations. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Really great conversation. Best to you. Blessings to you.